Is this Pacers team confusing or what? Tony East here with Forbes, talking Pacers Magic several hours late. Apologies, many things going on. And the Pacers go horrible night in Charlotte against the Hornets. Incredible night at home, beating the Knicks for their first double-digit win of the season. And then another crummy night on the road in Orlando against the Paolo Banchero-less Magic. Very confusing for the once again under 500 Pacers. And I think the trend that is the obvious most concerning thing for the Pacers is they're unrecognizable on offense, which seems unfair to say when they just scored 132 on the Knicks and looked like the Pacers of last year, and Tyrese Haliburton played a great offensive game and hunky-dory. It took them 10 games, but there it was, and then back to what we saw the first 9, the first 8, whatever you want to say, from the Pacers in many ways. Haliburton tonight, 3 for 14, 11 assists is great, 9 points is just way too few. They won his minutes. He played 39 minutes and 34 seconds, and they won them by 5 in a 4-point loss. So it's sort of not on him, but sort of is. Just very, very strange reality to see him play this poorly once again. And the Pacers now, through 11 games, their offensive rating, remember last year, one of the best offenses the NBA had ever seen, they are 16th below average in offensive rating. They are lucky that they are defending acceptably well. Not good. They're still 23rd in defense, but compared to where they were at last year at this time, that works. They'll take it, which puts them about appropriately where they should be in terms of net rating given their record. But they are unrecognizable from last year's team on the offensive end, below average after this loss. So what actually happened in this game? 94-90, the final score. I will say that unlike the Charlotte game, the Hornets are not a good defensive team. If you told me that they got smoked by, or got, a team held them to 90, I would have guessed the Magic in their first 10 games would be the team on the schedule that this happens to. Thankfully, the Pacers don't play Orlando till next April now, because they need a reset from this team that just gives them so much trouble. And that's kind of the story of this game to me, is early, the Pacers looked great offensively, 27 in the first quarter, and they never really got back to that. They scored 27 in the third as well, but it didn't feel the same. It was a lot harder. It was a lot different who was scoring and how easy it was for them to do it. And the second and fourth quarters combined for 36 points. 18 in both of them. The Magic kept getting better and better throughout the game. The Pacers went up and down way too much. And so outside of that start, and really the start of the start, like the first couple of minutes of the game, I thought, oh, wow, the Pacers might just run away with this. They scored 16 points in the first 6 minutes of the game and then defended really well for the rest of the first quarter. I thought, yeah, they can easily win this in a way that they just beat Orlando. Jump all over them early, maybe stumble in the middle and then recover. That's kind of what happened again. This Magic zone defense gave the Pacers some trouble, but less than it did the last time they saw them, which was not very long ago. But the Pacers couldn't, and against any sort of Magic defense, really get rolling again after that crummy first quarter, right? Jalen Suggs off night didn't matter at all for the Magic, who didn't have anybody really go crazy. Goga Bitadze, I guess, was solid enough with his scoring. He was their second highest scorer and was efficient. Franz Wagner was inefficient, and the Pacers still couldn't beat him because their offense was that crummy. Ben Mathurin went nuts in the fourth quarter, which I'm only bringing up because prior to his solid fourth, where he was pretty efficient, and not even really the whole fourth quarter, it was mostly the last couple minutes where he almost willed the Pacers' comeback. To his credit, he did very well in that stretch. Mathurin in the fourth quarter, 3 for 5. Before that, he was below 40% from the field. He was 4 for 12. So that's 1/3 of his shots were makes, which is relevant because prior to him having that strong ending, Pascal Siakam was shooting really well for the Pacers, and every other starter was shooting below 40%. Ben Mathurin finishes 7 for 17. Still, his free throws helped him be efficient on his way to 23. Miles Turner, another really rough night, 2 rebounds, 11 points for him on 11 shots, 4 for 11. Ben Shepherd, 2 for 6. He hit half his threes. I suppose that's nice, but he has not been as efficient since his hot start. We already talked about Haliburton being off once again. Haliburton, 8 assists in the first quarter when the Pacers offense looked its best, 3 the rest of the game, and only 9 points. And 6 of them came in a really short stretch when he hit consecutive threes early in the third quarter. Just all the starters could not get going for the Pacers. No juice, no flow. The Magic have always given this team trouble, but the shorthanded Magic should not be able to, 1, because they have one less big, large player, and 2, because the Pacers should be able to get in transition enough against a team like that. That's the only way the Magic can only score. They only scored 94 points. The Pacers should win that game every time. The Magic had more fast break points than the Pacers in this game. That just can't happen. That just cannot happen. That cannot be a way the Pacers lose this game, given who is available for both teams. Thankfully for the Pacers of last year, a game like this would be won by their bench with that group's efficiency and connectivity. That didn't happen tonight. Only one Pacers bench player shot above 40%, and you will never have guessed in a million years if you did not watch the game who it was. It was Johnny Furphy. Johnny Furphy, maybe the best Pacers bench player in the first half of this game. He had 7 points and 2 boards. Looked like a capable player at times. Good cutting, finishing at the basket, important and one putback. Jarace Walker, 2 for 5. He was their great bench player the last time they played the Magic without missing a shot. TJ McConnell, also excellent in that game, going 7 for 7. He was 2 for 9. Obi Toppin returned, but was only 1 for 4. Last game, the Pacers beat the Magic by 7, and one of the big stories was, wow, look at that. The Pacers bench just went 18 for 20, the best shooting percentage by a second unit the NBA has ever seen in a group that took 20 or more shots. This game, the Pacers bench ends up taking more than 20 shots and way fewer than 18 makes. McConnell, 2 for 9. They needed him to be much better than that. Much better than that. If he goes 4 for 9, which is a substandard game for him, this is at worst an overtime game. Obi Toppin made his only 2-pointer, missed all of his threes. They needed him to make one. He couldn't do it. Enrique Freeman, they tried for 2 minutes. This is not a game for him, just given how big Orlando is. Yes, the Pacers needed size and centers. I understand that, but he's just an undersized center. It was a tough one for him. Jarace was fine. I continue to be impressed with Jarace Walker's defense, but his offense wasn't there. And Furphy's best offensive game didn't matter because the rest of the bench wasn't effective enough. In total, the Pacers bench made 8 shots on, I can't do math fast enough, I believe 25 attempts. That just can't happen, and that really can't happen on a night where their starters weren't also good enough. And of course, there's something to that from the Magic's defense side, but this is just not the Pacers we saw last year, who every night, even if Haliburton had off nights, right? Last year down the stretch of the season when Haliburton was in his mega slump or, after the in-season tournament when he was getting double teamed by everybody, they found ways to score. Other guys would step up. The bench looked great. Someone else did something. And Pascal Siakam did that in this game. I feel terrible skipping over him because he was once again tremendous. And Mathurin was closed the game strong to end up really good, although in the middle he had some inconsistent moments, let's say. Those two had 48 of the Pacers' 90 points. They found ways, but in general, the last year the Pacers would have found answers and scored like 110. Last year the Pacers scored under 100 once, and they scored 99 in that game. This year they've already scored under 100 3 times. Now the first Knicks game in the Garden, I will accept if you want to throw that out because they shot historically bad from deep. One of their worst games from 3 this decade. Okay, that's fine. I accept that. But Charlotte and Orlando were not as bad. They were like normal bad shooting nights. Pacers were terrible at the rim in this game. Lowest shooting percentage they've had all season. Their turnovers really crept up late. They did win the turnover battle. They got smoked on the glass. All these little things that they could not possibly overcome if they were going to play as bad as they did on offense, even on a good defensive night. A really good defensive night. For my money, the best first shot defensive night the Pacers have had all season. Wasn't enough. Didn't matter. They've got to find ways to score. They've got to find some consistency. They cannot get back over 500. They won on opening night. They've been 500 or worse ever since. They have had many chances against opponents that I would consider maybe inferior on paper, but that shouldn't be a thing anymore. The Pacers should not be favored really against anybody until they prove they can consistently win. Another rough one. I'll have way more on Locked On Pacers. Check it out there. Thanks for watching, guys. See you after the next one. Pacers Heat on Friday. In-season tournament. That's the Pacers thing.